Shino. Shino. What the heck is going on in this next generation with Shino? So this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, I believe episode 5. For starters, we had the introduction to Mitsuki. He's finally shown up. If you've seen Boruto Naruto the movie, or you've seen any of the content that's out prior to this anime, then you know that we was about to see him eventually. And I think, honestly, if you're watching this episode, I mean, I guess in regards to if you haven't seen any of that stuff, in particular the one shot that Kishimoto did, original creator of Naruto, regarding Mitsuki, then you might have more, intrigue and more mystique to it, and you might not understand things. If you have read the one shot in particular, then I think you'll have a little bit more context into his character and a little bit more of an understanding of who he is and some of the references that he makes within this episode. Now, the beginning where that thug is there and Boruto's running after him, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of like, Boruto, you a little bit out there? This dude is using the fire style jutsu and he's trying to pop shots, and Boruto's just there trying to act like some sort of vigilante, like, bro, you're not even a ninja yet, what are you doing? But nevertheless, it was kind of cool to open up with a small little action scene, again keeping it contained to the kids handling small situations, but at the same time still trying to keep it engaging enough where somebody like me, that's former fan of the original series, then, or still a fan, you get what I mean, kind of seeing more of that is like, okay, there's still some cool stuff going on, even though it's regarding these kids that are, younger or whatever. So we had that, and then it immediately jumps in, because I feel as though this episode, one of the big deals was, it was trying to showcase just how incredible Mitsuki is, because once we see him, he already handled that thug. He had this weird look to his eyes. And I guess before we jump into some other stuff, let's talk about something that was said in the episode. He said, oh, so you could see it too. Yeah, like almost as if he expected Boruto to be able to see that dark chakra. But I mean, one thing is, okay, why is it that you expected him to see that? Are you familiar with this? What's going on there? Another thing is, how are you able to see it? And it seems as though only Boruto and now you are the ones that can see this. So a lot of interesting things going on there. Is kind of like, Mitsuki is more interesting, I feel, now than he's been in the series thus far, as like, the Boruto movie and things of that nature, because like, then it wasn't really diving into context of him and he was just more so like a Sai. With this one is like, he has the bland dryness in a way of Sai, or like, the new Inojin Sai's child, but instead of just having that miscommunication of not understanding human interaction, a small case of that is there, but a bit more of it is, I mean, as Boruto said throughout the episode, this dude is weird, you know what I'm saying? So there's like a weird creepiness to it, opposed to just being dry, like having no sense of humor and not understanding people. So you get a little bit of that vibe, or quite a bit of that vibe, from Mitsuki throughout the episode. When we got Mitsuki with Iwabe, which I still don't know what's going on with Iwabe, if he's really going to be a big key player to all of this, considering he's not in the manga yet, and the manga is way ahead of all of this right now, assuming that they're gonna do a Boruto Naruto the movie anime adaptation, which I'm imagining, so they're not gonna skip out of it. It seems as though it's a key vital point to the story or whatever. But when we see Mitsuki kind of just best him and outdo him, I was like, yeah, this episode's mission, if it's to make Mitsuki a credible thing, yeah, he's pretty credible. And I was just like, yo, and this is where it, once again, going back to how, like, initially we felt like he was Sai, but he's more weird and creepy, when he was just choking out Iwabe there, and like, it wasn't even Shino that stopped him, and we're gonna get to Shino in a second, and I feel as though like, Shino, we'll get to him in a second though. It was Boruto that was the only one that got him to stop, and he was like a little bit confused, and he was like, well, you said no holds bars. He took that shit to the next level. There's a difference between no holds bars, okay, let's see who's gonna win, and then just trying to choke a motherfucker out. I was kind of hype off that, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this is showing this character in a different light than we previously seen him, because he seems a little bit more vicious than he was before, a little bit more non-understanding of things. And maybe the reason why he hasn't been shown in that nature is because throughout this little academy thing, he'll have a big change and he'll be a little bit more calm. He'll still be weird, but he won't be as vicious as we saw in this episode. Again, he had Iwabe. I was like, bro, now Shino, what are you doing, bro? This episode with Shino, I was just like, one, You couldn't stop the fight. It had to be Boruto. I mean, it's weird because you would think, okay, if this Naruto Next Generation, Naruto Next Generation series is going to primarily focus on the new generation, the new characters, but you're gonna include a couple of characters that are gonna be somewhat key players, at the very least for these set of episodes, with it being Shino, which, again, out of all the characters, like, it would have been so much more funny if it was like Rock Lee as the teacher or something like that, which I guess he has probably a different role in the village. I don't know if he's just like a really good Jonin. Whenever they need him to do a mission, they send him out or whatever, but like, you pick Shino, which he's already one of the more bland, dry, not really having much going on for him. He didn't really have a spotlight in Naruto, so in concept is like, okay, while he's not the most interesting thing and you would think like pick somebody else to be the teacher or whatever, nonetheless is like, okay, we have him, he never got spotlight in the original, maybe we could do something in this one. And it seems as though it's taking that concept of him never having spotlight and no one giving a shit about him and almost making it an even further cruel reality, because now you got the kids disrespecting him, the kids don't look up to him, Boruto was clowning him, he was like, bro, I was just like, when you got the students clowning you, and then on top of that, even the adults, Kurenai was like, everybody in the village knows you're not gonna be a teacher, you know, come on, even the viewers right now know you ain't shit. I was like, ugh. Because I've always wanted Shino to have, at the very least, some sort of moment, especially now coming into this series. I was like, this is a great opportunity. He's the teacher now. There's things that they can do to showcase him in a better light. And, oh, it's almost taking it to a point where while some of the students, or most of the students, obviously, need to grow and they have something they got to change. Boruto got to get rid of that cockiness. Obviously, Mitsuki, he got a lot of demons to exercise out of all this. And, of course, Iwabe, all of them, they have some growth. Shino does as well, but it just, I don't know, maybe it's just for a long-time viewer like myself and a lot of you guys that you've been watching Naruto since obviously part 1, Shippuden and all that shit. It makes me cringe to see Shino in this light, that he's trying desperately to get the attention of the kids. You know, he did that little thing with having all the bugs and that little, I don't know, you call it not a festival or something like that. He was trying to do something nice. They didn't really give a shit. You got Kurenai telling him nobody in the village believes in him as a teacher, essentially, or they just don't really think he's cut out for this. It's like, I felt so just like wrong while watching this with Shino. I was just kind of like, why are you doing this to Shino? Like, he's already been dealt a raw hand. He never got the attention he deserved in original Naruto. And then you're gonna pull this and have him just look ridiculous. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't want to keep harping. We'll talk a little bit more about Shino at the end of this video, what happened towards the end of the episode. But let's talk about the Hidden Sound Village. Essentially, Mitsuki, which it's kind of interesting to see, you know, they're open about it. And I talked about this in one of my spoiler videos, but they're open. Mitsuki is from the Hidden Sound. And you would think like, you know, we had beef and they even addressed that. Yeah, there was a big beef and they tried to destroy the village, but we're cool with them now. I really want to know the internal mechanism, so to speak, of how this all came about for Mitsuki to be a transfer student. Like, did the people in charge of the Sound Village just come out, which I'm trying to be spoiler free. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who's in charge of the Sound Village and who, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess, spoiler alert, Orochimaru. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure he sent Mitsuki and, you know, he set up this deal or whatever, but it makes me question, well, how did this come about? Why are they okay with it? I mean, when Iruka, which, shout out to Iruka. He did it right. He did the teacher thing right. Where you see him, he's the principal now. Great evolution from, you know, being what Shino is right now. Except I don't ever feel as though Iruka was that kind of pathetic like what they're showing Shino to be in this episode. I always felt as though Iruka was like, he's Naruto's teacher. You know what I'm saying? Some kids didn't act right, but nevertheless, he was cool. Shino, different story, whatever. So the Sound Village thing where, you know, even Naruto addresses it and whatnot, kind of really intrigues me on how this came about. Is, you know, Hokage Naruto aware of all of this and that they made the deal for him to come over here? So a lot of interesting questions. The whole thing of that monster that they keep on seeing, which you had the guy on the roof throwing shot, was kind of like, really? Which, by the way, I was like, yo, don't ever try this at home. When Boruto grabbed the dude and was like dropping him, he was gonna drop him on his neck and Mitsuki had to stop it and save it. I was like, this is a little violent. Like, Boruto, you were just about to kill both of you. What the hell are you doing? If it wasn't from Mitsuki, which Mitsuki was making some subtle references about, are you my son? Or you know, he was making some interesting references. So you can see that Mitsuki has a mission. He was talking to somebody as well. He's definitely on a mission. It's just a matter of what is his involvement with this chakra thing? It seems as though it has to come from him because this just happened right around the beginning of the academy. Then 5 episodes in, Mitsuki shows up. So some interesting stuff there. End of the episode, I'm not gonna lie, when Shino just showed up and he's like, yeah, because, you know, he'd been bitten, which another thing that made me feel a little bit like Shino was on the pathetic side. The fact that this little snake monster thingy or whatever the heck it is took control of him, made him fall into depravity over being upset over his students, which I guess I gotta give him props for caring enough that it made him fall into that, and that was the reason why. But Shino showing up looking like he's about to body his students, that is some class act Florida type of shit, motherfucker, coming out in the news. Teacher kills 3 students for acting up. That's what that felt like at the end of this episode. As a whole, episode pretty damn good. I really enjoyed it. I felt as though it was a notch above the past 2 episodes, because the past 2 episodes, episodes 3 and 4, were okay. This one felt as though it was leaning towards the very good mark. I want to say maybe an 8. Maybe the 8, because Mitsuki, the art and animation in the episode, really, really good, especially the Mitsuki scenes. The introduction and building up the suspense of Mitsuki's character, really cool shit there. And I mean, as a whole, just pretty damn good episode. It's just Shino. What are they doing with you? The abuse doesn't end with Shino! But I'm kind of curious what you guys thought about this episode. For starters, do you think Mitsuki has some involvement with what's going on and people falling into depravity? How did you feel about Shino with this episode? What do you think about Iruka being the principal now of this whole shindig? And what do you think about Iwabe versus Mitsuki? Do you think Mitsuki is hacked? He's definitely, if not the top, then one of the top people in the academy right now. Because, I mean, the jutsu he's displaying and kicking ass and shit, Mitsuki is up there. And your overall thoughts of the episode. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.